or what is most priority to them starts with right from their mental health. In Africa alone, out of the 54 countries, Uganda has the highest rates of depression and anxiety. But in spite of this fact, you realize that only 1% of our healthcare budget is attributed to mental health service provision. And that funding alone is concentrated in one national regional referral, that is Butabika, where we also have staffing gaps. So what young people are saying, with the rising cases of depression, anxiety, suicide, we need to establish mental health services that are decentralized beyond the national regional referral hospital and allocate at least 2% of the health budget towards mental health service provision. Another thing that is important to note is being a young person between the ages of 13 to 25 in Uganda is a slippery slope. We face so many challenges, and the stigma and judgment around mental health services or seeking out this care is something that we young people face. So in this regard, we are calling out to the government and stakeholders to roll out programs that equip young people with the essential skills to cope with life stressors. We know what young people face. We live with them, many of us are them, so this is what the young people want. Ladies and gentlemen, it's also important to know that in Uganda, only 1% of the population actually have health insurance. Where does that leave us as young people? We are facing so many compounding factors, including poverty and unemployment. So our ask is clear and direct, that we should increase or pass the National Health Insurance Scheme Bill and promote insurance schemes to cover at least 5% of young people's health needs by the year 2029. Another key priority ask for young people in Uganda in regards to their health is sexual and reproductive health. It is not a stranger to many of us young people. It is a pillar of our health, but it continues to elude us because of the challenges that we face on a daily. Why? The first, many health facilities are not welcoming to young people, or they are not youth friendly. We face so much stigma, we lack confidentiality, there's a lot of judgment, and we don't have access to contraceptives or even family planning, most of which are always out of stock. So our ask is to increase sexual and reproductive health and rights funding to at least 15% of the total healthcare expenditure and establish youth-friendly corners in health centers across the country. Ladies and gentlemen, as I conclude, we all know that HIV and AIDS is one of the greatest pandemics affecting young people in Uganda. To this end, we believe as young people that prevention is more effective than cure. In this regard, we urge the government to advance and make pre-exposure prophylaxis and post-exposure prophylaxis free and affordable to all young people all across Uganda. Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you. I'm asking for Primus, what is prophylaxis? Primus, do you know what that is? I knew. Okay. We're going to move on swiftly, but you guys need to clap for Remy very. We're going to move swiftly to Belinda on employment creation.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. And as I start my brief presentation, I would like to call upon each one of us to join me on a brief journey or reflection. Remember yourself at the age of about 13 or 12 or even 7. When you were asked, what do you want to become? What were the questions or what were the answers? Doctor, she said, doctor, teacher, engineer, businessman, someone who is pilot exactly, someone who is probably a daughter or a son to a farmer could have said the biggest coffee grower because perhaps that is the perception created around them. But there was an aspect of growth and becoming and getting entrenched into an economy and be productive. But what happened to you and many other youth or young people in this nation is that when we stepped out of university, when we step out of the tertiary institutions, reality hits. And what is the reality? The spaces available are not able to accommodate each one of us, and where you left hopeless, and as someone stated that we are a bunch of youth that are ready to fight for other senior big people but not ready to fight for ourselves, because we feel that is the only thing we are left to do to earn a living, since there are no jobs or opportunities for us to get. So my conversation today is one that talks about bridging the gap. How do we bridge the gap from the expectations, the dreams, and create opportunities that get to make these people meet, and once the two meet, what do we have? A productive and effective economy. So my discussion is on employment creation. Where is the problem? Number one, I think, as projected there, number one, Uganda's youth are entering the labor markets at about 1 million. And how many jobs are available? About 47,000 jobs. Look at yourself or turn to your neighbor and ask them where they are working. Many of the youth will wear suits, but at the end of the day, walk back and eat a Rolex or a Commando for supper. Why? The jobs available do not correlate with the so many that have been skilled and trained in the various institutions. The other problem is that there is a current programs recycle, which recycles opportunity instead of creating new ones. The other day the president was telling us, you as young people that are studying arts, you're becoming many, but you do not create jobs. So we cannot sponsor your education. We would rather invest money in the sciences, because you're coming for the jobs that are available, and the jobs that are available are not enough for all of you. So we need to divert attention. And then the question becomes, even the ones that are existent, even in the so-called scientific field, are still the same jobs. We are all about 1 million of us coming for the 47,000 available opportunities. Job recycling. The other problem basically becomes, without bold action, Uganda risks missing out on the demographic dividend. We keep bulging, we keep becoming bigger and bigger, and if taken keen interest in, I believe that this big demographic may become the biggest opportunity that Uganda can have to double, to triple, to grow its economy. Enough of the rumbling. Allow me go to our asks for today. Ask 1 is a 24-hour economy promotion. Our ask as the young people today, 1, is that the government should foster a 24-hour economy, and starting with cities as a focal point or a starting point. What happens in the 24-hour economy? Have you heard about the night shift, the day shift, and the evening shift? Imagine a job where people only work during day because it is insecure, or a market where people have to close by 7, by 8. I have started in Gulu City, and by around 7 the market is closing because why? They need to close up the stores and the place needs to be secure. But what happens in a 24-hour economy? With security, we can have the marketplaces open, we can have shifts. If the other people worked during the day, then the rest can come in the evening or in the night, and business continues. Look at the nightlife of Kampala. Every night people are eating, bars are open. Those people need to be serviced. Perhaps they need to eat. Perhaps they need to purchase groceries. Who will supply them when the markets are closed because people think it is insecure to work late in the night? The other one is looking at entrepreneurship and the informal sector. Out-of-school youth and the Jiwakali sector need seed funding, registration support, and financial training. What have we done? We are perhaps creating systems and expectations, or actually the other way around, training people but not preparing systems. And when you match trained people with unprepared systems, what do you get? They hit the wall, they remain ranting, and all the efforts put are left useless. Next, third, what are we asking for? We are saying we need digital innovation. Can we leverage digital technologies to expand access to markets, access to finance and information, boosting the informal sector productivity? The other ask is empowerment and business incubation services. We have about 18 business parks. Can they provide business skills, life skills, and mentorship to empower the young people of Uganda? Our fifth ask is pertaining the startup bill. Quite a good one, well structured, but why is it still in the pipelines? We would like to request that there should be fast tracking of the startup bill to offer financing, tax holidays, and business development support to the young people of Uganda. Our sixth ask is on the tax policy. Can we have a clear or develop a clear implementation strategy for the 3-year tax exemption targeting citizen-owned startup businesses with investment capital not exceeding 500 million? We heard about this when the budget was being read, but many were left in what my friends love to call Aizulu. What is next? How do we go about this? How do we benefit from this? So we may need a clear breakdown on the implementation strategy and how every young person or every person can benefit. Because trust me, many young people have startups with investment less than 500 million Uganda shillings. Finally is inclusive public procurement. Can we enforce PPDA guidelines to reserve small procurement for youth, women, and persons with disability? And in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, can we prepare systems alongside young people? The time for action is now. Youth are not a liability. We are Uganda's greatest asset. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. We now transition to Scovia, our sportswoman, captain of our national team, to speak about creatives and sports. English has failed me now. Creatives and sports.
Thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd love to first thank Almighty God for us who are here, that we are still breathing and majority are in the hospital in bad shapes. Thank you, Lord Jesus Christ. When we were still young, we used to dream of becoming successful in sports. But in Uganda, we still have poor standard of sports. We used to dream of becoming like the heads of Ronaldo, Onana, that is for Man U team, sorry, but not in bad faith. The sector is forced with challenge, which is undermining capacity to drive young development, natural unit, and development economic growth. For example, lack of equipment. So many schools are lacking equipment. As youth, to promote our sports, we need to develop our schools with equipment. For example, in sports, each sport is having different type of shoes, but you'll find someone who is interested in a sport is not having the income of buying the shoe for that very sport, and you end up using the little you have, whereby you'll get injury and you'll get hard time to treat yourself. That's why youth are supposed to come in as the leaders to at least fight that. Lack of trained coaches. The reason why we are not developing in our sports is because of trained coaches. You'll find in a school that we only have sports teachers acting as coaches, yet they don't know the type of sport they're supposed to undertake children in. you'll find that someone just goes for sports science and is given a sport to head. For example, netball. The person doesn't know anything concerning netball, but is supposed to head that sport. It's killing our sport. Second point, absence of strategic grassroots talent identification and development system. This comes to Uganda national team. You'll find that majority of the national team players are within the central. People from the up country are nowhere to be seen. Reason being, that sport has not yet reached their areas. We need to fight hard to see that even those ones in deep villages are also part of the national team, so that our sport can grow. Facts. Only 18% of the secondary schools have dedicated sports ground. Even here in Kampala, if you're to move schools, like secondary schools, you'll find that majority are training from substandard grounds, which leads to poor sports activities. %27% of district sports officers have formal training. This goes to our leaders. Without training, someone cannot be successful. Someone cannot play professional football or professional netball. We need training for coaches, for our fellow youth.
So what are we asking? We go to the asks now.
Here we are requesting for formal education in districts. We should at least get people who can go to districts in the villages, at least to give them education on the sport, and also to train coaches, not teachers, to become coaches.